Welcome to another video from Gweilo 60. Today I'm sitting out front of Guangxi University. It's the largest university in Guangxi province in Nanning, China. There's lots of security here. School just came back at the university, but it's not for everybody. The seniors are back at school this week. The medical students are back at school this week. They had to go into 14 days quarantine before they were allowed on campus. Once you're on campus, you're not going anywhere. If you leave, you're not allowed back on campus. There goes your semester type thing. So the strict rules of going back to school at a university is real for these students here in Guangxi University. The seniors, they want to graduate this year. This is their year to graduate. You know, throw the hats in the air and all of that stuff. The medical students, maybe they understand things a little bit more than your regular students would. So the medical students are back. The other students, no, not yet. They figure that if they bring people back, sort of staggering it so there's not large numbers at one time hitting the university, that it'll be better. It'll be less chance of a second wave of the COVID-19. And I agree with them. In China, they've done a lot. They've made a big difference in the way that they deal with this stuff, and you got to give them kudos for that. And just by watching what they do at the university, I was here the other day. It was raining outside. I was trying to do a video, and a guy tried to go in without talking to doing the right thing with the security that they got here. Oh, everybody yelled. You see, the idea that he was going to go in without going through the proper motions, no, that's not going to happen. It's just one of those things. And you know, so that brings me to my topic of the day. You have to take responsibility for your actions. You have to not point fingers at people, and you have to take responsibility for your incompetence. You see, these are character things that show character. And I've noticed that the United States hasn't been showing a lot of character during this time. You get into H1N1, you get into AIDS, you get into the CV that we've got here in China right now and around the world. What do these all have in common? Once they hit the United States, they were mass spread. Sure, AIDS, HIV started in Africa, but once it hit the States, frick, it was everywhere. H1N1, contrary to popular belief, H1N1 started in Southern California, not Mexico. Check your sources, guys. And I get this a lot. Well, it started in Mexico. No, that's bullshit. But once it started in Southern California, what happened? It was mass spread throughout the United States. Same with the CV. Once it hit the United States, mass spread around the United States. That's the difference. People don't take it seriously. People don't put masks on. People don't self-quarantine. People don't deal with it. They think it's not a big deal. In the United States, in Canada, places like that, when China was fighting this beast back in January and February and even into March of this year, just last month, the rest of the world was saying, "Oh, look at this virus started in China, and you know, but we've got everything under control. Our healthcare system is better. We're smarter. We're better. We're..." Yeah, I know. Where did that get you? See, that's the difference between dealing with a South Korea, dealing with a China, dealing with, well, I was going to say Japan, but Japan just had a second wave and their hospitals are overrun now. My God, Martha. Shit like that, you know, so there's always that chance of a second wave coming along. So everybody here is still wearing masks. I'm social distancing. You can see that there's nobody around me for a number of meters, so I took my mask off, but I wear a mask too when I'm around people. It's one of the things. In China, everybody's wearing masks, everybody's social distancing, everybody is self-quarantining. You don't go anywhere if you don't have to. And that's one of the things that the West could learn from the East, just for the fact that once it hits you in the States, Canada, places like that, Europe, Italy, Spain, Spain, places where all this shit is hitting the fan. It's because of the way that you deal with it. Not that this virus started in China, not that the H1N1 started in California, not that AIDS started in Africa. It doesn't matter where it starts. It's how people deal with it. And we can see a real big difference between how the Chinese people have dealt with it and how the American people are dealing with it. It's just a matter of taking responsibility for your actions. It's a matter of looking out for your neighbors. It's a matter of looking out for the old people in your community. It's a matter of not having children go to school. It's all of these different things. The United States hit its highest, a couple days ago, hit its highest death rate in the history of the CV. 3 days later, they opened up the beaches in Florida. So what does that tell you? They're not really interested in stopping this. The mayor of Las Vegas, we want to open up our casinos. Georgia, we want to open up our spas, our hair salons, our tattoo parlors. You got to be freaking kidding me, you guys. You like, seriously, I have no words for that. That just makes no freaking sense to me at all. In China, everybody takes it seriously, and they should, because this is killing people. Rather than pointing fingers and blaming, because that's pretty well all I've ever seen as the blame game coming out of places like the United States, even Canada, Australia. I never thought I'd see it come out of Canada, but it has, and that sort of disappoints me. You've got politicians that should know what to do, but they don't. This is a new thing for everybody. But the reaction that I see is you have to point fingers at people and saying, oh, it's their fault. And that covers up your incompetence. Your incompetence in dealing with saving lives, making sure that your citizens are safe. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, you can point fingers and say it started over there. Well, what good does that do you? But after operating businesses for a number of years in Canada and operating a collection agency repossession business, I've seen it over and over and over again. People that can't get things done or find ways not to get things done or are too lazy to get things done always point their finger at somebody else, and it's always somebody else's fault. Yes. Find reasons why it can't be done. Oh, that one frosts my ass, because it's just a show of laziness or incompetence. And this is what I'm seeing on a world scale right now, is that people are actually pointing their fingers at others and making excuses why things can't be done, blaming others for the incompetence of the politicians in the West. You've got Fox News whining and saying, well, we need to sue China. You've got European countries, we got to sue China. It's because your politicians have to take the onus off of them and put it on somebody else, because they're just not doing their job. They're not doing what's right for their people. Opening up an economy when you're in the middle of an epidemic is not the right thing to do. Putting money in front of instead of lives is not the right thing to do. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. You'd think that the people that are running our countries would be more sensible in that, but it's not about your lives, guys. It's about the money, that the finances, how strong the country is, how the military, the financial sectors. It's about big business, corporations, and how they run your asses. And if they're not making money, they're not happy, and they're going to lobby that government to do exactly what they want, make more money. And if lives have to be lost because of it, well, lives have to be lost because of it, but they're not going to take the responsibility themselves. What they're going to do is they're going to point fingers at places like China and say it's their fault, not ours, because it started over there. Smoke and mirrors. You guys have seen this before in politics, over and over and over again, and this is no different. Most people can see through it. A lot of people can't. I watched Fox News the other day. Oh, these guys are freaking nuts. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's one of those things that the whole world is going crazy. Their inability to control the spread of this disease is sort of a testament to their incompetence. When a country like China does, and like the population here is crazy, and you can't really social distance. You know, it's one of those things that if China can do it, anybody can do it because of the amount of people here. So it's a matter of laziness. It's a matter of not taking it seriously. It's a matter of not dealing with things as properly as what the Chinese government does. And when they say you quarantine, they quarantine. When they say you wear a mask, you wear a mask. When they say you self-quarantine, you self-quarantine. When they say you got to take your temperature before you go into a store, you have to take your temperature before you go into a store. If they say you have to stay at home, you stay at home. That's how you beat something like this. Not special interest groups going out saying, no, we're not going to self-quarantine. We have the right of assembly. We have the right of mobility. And that's true, because when you get a society, as Western societies are, they have those rights written into their constitution and their Bill of Rights and Charters, and things like that. So the idea that they try to take those away, they can't. So you've got these governments around the world that have their hands tied, and they really can't do what China's done. Why not? Because they have a different form of government. They have a different form of... People think differently. In China, when the government says something, they just say, yeah, okay, it's for the betterment of the Chinese people. It's for the betterment of the country. But in the West, it's like, me. Exactly. And that's a problem. Since this CV thing started, I've been getting a lot, like I'm telling you, a lot of comments, both good and bad on my channel. But I've seen a really big uptick in the hate comments. I'm not sure where they come from, because it could be Taiwan, could be Hong Kong, could be the United States, could be Great Britain, could be Timbuktu, for all I know. I just know that there's a lot of blame going on out there, and I don't think it's warranted. I think that you're looking for an accomplice to this disease, and instead of a victim. And I think China is a victim to this, just like anywhere else. So to blame China for anything to do with this would be the same as blaming the United States for H1N1. Blaming Africa for AIDS, blaming the Middle East for MERS, all of these things that, it just doesn't make much sense. They say it's because of the unhygienic way that the Chinese people deal with their wet markets. Well, it's not that. I'll tell you that right now. Everywhere around the world deals with wet markets. The only places that don't are places like Canada and the United States and Great Britain, where you've got Superstore and you've got Walmart and you've got all of these places that sell packaged meats. Basically the same thing. Oh, they say, well, no refrigeration. Well, in China, I know I've been buying groceries at wet markets for literally 17 years. That stuff don't last long enough on those tables to get old, because there's so many people buying from it that everything is fresh. I have bought meat, like the pig was slaughtered right next to me type thing, and they stick the meat on the table and it's still twitching, and you buy it and it's still warm to the touch. Yeah, now that's what I call fresh. So if you think that it's because it's unhygienic, or it's been like this for centuries, it's a bogus claim is what it is. People will always try to blame somebody else for their misgivings, for bad things that happen to them, for their inability or their incompetence. And this is just the way it is. Whether it's on a personal level or on a government level, it's the same thing. If we can't do it, or if it's impossible to do, well, nothing's really impossible. We see that all the time. Blind people get jobs. People with disabilities make a living and go through their daily lives. And then you've got people that are supposed to be smart and genius, the upper echelon, the educated characters, and they can't learn from a country like China because why? Oh, because they're communist. Oh my God, are they really? I think that China's more of a capitalist country than a communist. Maybe they should change their name from Communist China to Capitalist China. It would actually fit better. But because the ideology of China is different, they don't want to become a democratic country. Now they're the bad guy on the block. So if anything bad happens that comes from China, right away it's their fault, not our fault. And if we can't deal with it, if our ability is so thwarted that we can't deal with it, well, it's got to be somebody else's fault. It can't be our fault. Why not? Well, because our incompetence has to be hidden behind blaming other people for our incompetence, I guess. And being a Canadian, I have to take some responsibility, because in a country of 35 million people, and if you've got 40,000 active cases, think about China, that's got 1.4 billion people, and they had under 90,000 active cases. Obviously, we're not learning from China. We're not learning from South Korea. The Americans are definitely not learning from China. They're not learning from South Korea. Why not? South Korea is a democratic country. If you don't want to learn from China, learn from South Korea. If your ego is so huge that you can't take a page out of the playbook from China, take it from South Korea, because if you do, you may save lives. And I think that's what it's all about. Don't worry about where it came from. It's here, it's now. But for the sake of your citizens, especially your senior citizens, like yours truly, Gweilo 60, I'm getting old, long in the tooth they call it, but I'm still healthy. Look after these people, because these are the people that helped you grow your country. These are the people that made your life possible. These are your parents, your grandparents. Learn from mistakes, and learn from people that aren't making the mistakes, and the Chinese aren't right now. The South Koreans aren't. So are the Americans? Definitely. You're just under 1 million cases. My God. And it's so simple. Like, this isn't brain surgery, guys. Wash your hands, wear a mask, self-quarantine. If somebody's coming into the country, every person in your hotels will love you. If somebody can travel to your country, whether you're a citizen or a non-citizen, quarantine their ass for 14 days and make them pay for it. Sure, maybe give them a deal, because the hotels will be full and they're working at maximum capacity. Self-distance yourself. Watch the old people. Bring them food. Leave it outside their door. The vulnerable, the old folks' homes. Don't let anybody in there, man. All of these things are really important. It's basic stuff. It's, as I say, it's not brain surgery. If your government made these 5 rules, I think it's about 5 rules, people wouldn't be getting as sick, the old people wouldn't be dying, and you'd feel better about yourself for doing maybe not what China did, but doing what you should do. Sure, China did it first, but you don't have to look at it that way. So I guess what I'm saying is, if everybody had the same response to this CV as China did, we wouldn't be in this pickle right now. It wouldn't be as big of a pandemic as it is right now, and we need to learn from our mistakes. Pointing fingers is not going to do it. Blaming others is not going to do it. Taking responsibility for your actions will do it. And I think that as a Westerner, as a Canadian, I can learn from China. As an American, you can learn from China. As somebody from the UK or Nigeria or wherever you may be, you can learn from China, because they actually beat this thing down to the point where people are going back to work, people are going back to school. Life is opening up here, and I think it's a good thing. So instead of pointing fingers, what I'm saying is embrace what you can do to fix this, and become part of the global community of people that can do something, instead of those turds that say, oh, we can't do that. Anyway, that's another video from Gweilo 60. If you like this video, as always, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button. Thanks for watching. Hit the bell. Remember to make a comment. Oh, and we had a great live stream this morning with Patrick Freeman, Alex Absolute, Blondie in China. We had Alex from Reporterify Media, and yours truly, Gweilo 60. It was a good one. I was impressed with the panel. If you are somebody that wants to be on our panel, a YouTuber, get a hold of me, email me, and I'll put you in the pool. Unless you're a turd, and then I won't. Anyway, that's another video from Gweilo 60. Oh, never forget to put a couple bucks on the children's Patreon account. It's for a good cause. Poor rural Chinese children, they just need a helping hand. We can give them that helping hand. Help me help them. Thanks for watching. Bye now.